Today we're going to take a look at how we're going to approach story problems in this online course. And story problems present some special kind of challenges because they're full of words and numbers at the same time. So that's a little confusing to our brains because we kind of process words and numbers in different places. And then the other thing is that we usually get a whole bunch of information before we find out what we're supposed to do with it. And so it feels kind of backwards. So the first thing that I want to do is I always want to figure out actually, as soon as I see I have a word problem, what is the question actually asking me to find? And so as I look, I actually see that I know if I have a question, it's going to have a question mark on it. And it's right here at the end. And it turns out that that's always where it's going to be. So when I see I have a story problem, I am going to ignore everything except for the question. And I'm going to pull that out first so that when I read the information, I know what I'm actually looking for, what I'm actually trying to answer. So the question is, what is the balance of Fatima's savings account now? Okay, I don't totally understand that, but I'm just going to write that down. So what is the balance of Fatima's savings account? Oops. Okay, so now when I read it, I know what I'm reading for. I know what question I'm actually trying to answer. Then I'm going to take a look at the information that the problem gives me, but I'm not going to judge whether or not I need to use it yet. I'm just going to look at what I've got here. Okay, Fatima has $975 in her checking account. So that's what she starts with. So she starts with $975 in checking. And she starts with $500 in her savings account. So I'm just going to go ahead and write that down. Okay, so then she writes a check for $700 for her rent. So writes a check for $700, and she deposits $50 in her savings account. So deposits $50 in her savings. Okay, so now that I know that information, I'm going to look back at the question. What is the balance of Fatima's savings account? Okay, well, that really helps me a lot because one of the things I know about word problems is sometimes I will get information that I don't need. So I want to look for information I don't need to be able to solve the problem. So if I'm going to focus on her savings account, that means that I don't care about her checking account balance. And I also don't care that she wrote a check because a check is going to come out of her checking account. So I see that she started with $500 in her savings and she deposits $50. Well, the word deposit, does that mean I'm going to add, subtract, multiply, and divide? Well, if I deposit, that means I'm adding, right? So if she starts with 500 and she adds 50, how much does she have in her savings account? Well, the solution, the answer, is she now has 550 in her savings. So the last thing that I want to do is I want to check and make sure that what I found really answers the question. So I'm going to go back. And I can see that, yes, I was looking for the balance of her savings. And if I think about whether or not the answer makes sense, well, I really want to know, is my answer the right size? Because if I get an answer that's too big or too small, I need to really evaluate it. So I know I started with 500 and I added 50. So yeah, my answer makes sense. I found her savings account balance and it does look like it's the right size.